Hi students, welcome to Sreedhar'scce Anantapuramu YouTube channel and welcome to our session, Editorial Analysis session. Like we start our session with the quote of the day for the motivation, and so we have been discussing these root words, the best way to memorize the vocabulary to the most possible way, and phrasal expressions keeping exam point of view, and the vocabulary comprising phrasal verbs, idiomatic expressions and content vocabulary along with their parts of speech, and analysis of the editorial, and the last but not the least test of the day, testing your skills. Okay, so now let's get to quote of the day without delaying. Don't tell people your plans, show them your results. What does that mean? So I observed most of the people like to show their plans, discuss their plans, and boast about their plans, something, all these kind of natures I observed in my vicinity. The thing is, no one wants you to grow up. Try to understand this point. See, the people in your vicinity have two things in their mind about you. You should be like them or you should be below them. They don't want you to be more than them. That means, so it's a sort of psychological trait, that's it. So the thing is, you needed to show your plans or tell your plans to all the people in your vicinity. The thing is, when you show your result, automatically they will understand what your worth is, what you are, what your capabilities are, all these things. So the thing is, don't tell, just do. Actions speak louder than words, like a well-known proverb. Let's get to idiomatic expressions. Like we got defined as very regular term, delighted to, it's a new term. So to express the nature of something, we said defined as, science is defined as, not defined here directly. Delighted to, what is this delighted to? Delight means first of all happy. Actually there is an ice cream named Delights, right? Delighted to, delight, delighted, delighted. Be glad, be happy. I'm delighted to meet you. It's not I'm delighted at meeting you, right? Sort of confusion to and at. So generally prepositions take ing form of verbs, that is gerunds. I am delighted at meeting you. Like if you get it for any like error detection or something, your mind may, okay, at is preposition, it follows ing form of verbs or nouns, acceptable. No, delighted takes two takes v1, that's it. So next let's get to root words. We got to root words the F, fid. Fid stands for faith. See how beautiful these root words are interlaced in our vocabulary. There you have got confide and fidelity and fiduciary. I tell you one more, confidence. See, confidence, you got FID there, right? So what does that mean? Like you got a faith, confidence, faith on something. So these are clearly, neatly, beautifully interlaced among our vocabulary. So confide means to place trust. Confidence, noun, confide, confided, confided verbs. How many a few people know that confide is a verb of confidence? Fidelity, infidelity. Infidelity means not having faithful, being unfaithful towards someone, cheating someone. Infidelity. Fidelity means faithfulness. Fiduciary, like beneficiary, you know, the same way. Fiduciary, FID, fit, faith. The person who has this faith is a trustee. Next, for FOR, we are very familiar with this before. Like forbear, you got examples. For means like previous thing, in front of earlier thing. Forbear, whoever bore us before, that is ancestor. Forebode, forebode means to predict something danger is going to happen earlier, like before itself. Next, forecast, estimation of future events. Like you know this FOR stands for doing something in before. Today's vocabulary: disengagement, withdrawal or retreat, especially taking military troops from an area of conflict back. Standoff, impasse, stalemate, deadlock in a dispute or conflict, especially. Confrontation, to go in front of someone, that is conflict, to clash, fight, face off, remember this. Front line, Front line means right the very starting line in a combat zone, that is battlefield. Hit pass, it's a phrase to seize, stop an action temporarily. Hit pass. Line of actual control, like we are pretty familiar with this, general knowledge question. LAC, the de facto effective border between India and China. It's 4057 kilometer border running through three areas: western, middle and eastern. Western, like that covers Ladakh, Kashmir, which is in Kashmir. Middle, Uttarakhand and Himachal, covering that border, and eastern, Sikkim and Arunachal. So covering around 4057 kilometer border, that is LAC. Genesis, like you get this word in the Bible. So the very starting chapter is Genesis, origin, the source, the beginning, the emergence. Deployment, employment is completely different. Deployments, it's clearly, perfectly related to army. Act of employing force, employing army forces is deploying. Transgression, like violation, yes, of course, violation. Breaching, like transgressing means to disturb the laws, like you are overruling the things. As Tenet, Christopher Nolan's recent hit movie. Tenet means a belief, a doctrine, a rule, a principle. Keep the peace, to avoid or stop fighting. Build up, if it is taken in noun sense, it's a noun. Development, escalation, expansion. Scale, what is the scale of this area? Magnitude, size or extent. On the ground, in a situation, place where things are happening. So practically wherever the things are happening on the ground. Refrain, restrain, retain, all these are restricting self, stop oneself. Abstain, desist from, it's a new word, desist from, hold back. Let's get to a few more vocabulary. Potentially, capably, possibly, probably, maybe. Stem, if it is used in verb sense, like reducing, diminishing, restraining, controlling, restricting. The bleeding, bleeding means everybody is familiar, but according to the context of the passage which we are about to discuss, is annoyance, displeasure, irritation. Friction, friction is a familiar physical term, but here friction also means like a dispute or fighting. Excuse me. Unhindered, like unimpeded, not stopped. Hinder means an obstacle which is not opposed, which is not constrained, which is not unimpeded, which is not impeded. Patrolling, you know this, police patrol, watching, guarding an area. Patrolling points, PPs, or patrolling points identified marked on the LIC, which are patrolled with a stipulated frequency by the security forces. Restoration, reinstitution, re-establishment of something, returning something. Next, status quo ante, it's a regular term we get in the articles, editorials. Status quo ante means it's a Latin phrase which means the state of affairs existing before, the way things were there before. Status quo, the present situation, the present existing state of affairs is status quo. Status quo ante means so which were existing before. Current state, status quo. Previous state, status quo ante. Maneuver, very beautiful word. Maneuver means training activity, operation, to train something. Dial down, it's a phrasal verb actually, which means lessen, to decrease the things, to reduce the things. Down itself indicates negative. Albeit, conjunction, so it's a different conjunction which we don't see in general context. Though, although, albeit, even though, however. On one's own terms, on someone's conditions, far from, not at all, nearby, so nowhere near. That's it. Let's get to today's analysis. Terms of disengagement on India-China standoff, deadlock. What is this disengagement? Withdrawing the military forces. Military level talks help avoid confrontation, a clash, a conflict, but China border remains a challenge even now. That India and China have agreed to stop sending more troops to the front line is a welcome step towards hitting pass. Hitting pass means to stop, to cease the fight and the rising tensions along the LAC. So, however, it seems like a good step. Indeed, the genesis means the starting point of the tensions lies in China's large-scale deployment of troops to forward areas in May and subsequent multiple transgressions in the Galvan Valley, Pangong Lake, Gogra Hot Springs and Despang Plains that have violated almost every core tenet of the four border agreements that have helped keep the peace since 1993. So, however, this genesis of tensions, where did they start? This China deployed a large scale of troops to forward areas in May, and multiple transgressions violated the rules across the four border agreements, which were not at all violated since 1993. This has forced India to match the Chinese deployment, leading to an extraordinary build-up on a scale not seen since 1962. So, however, that deployment made India also to deploy a large scale of troops, which it did not do right from 1962. The new agreement of September 21st as at the 6th round of core, actually CORPS, don't pronounce it as corpse. Corpse means dead body. This is a part and parcel of NCC, National Cadet Corps, so you have to pronounce it as COR Corps. 6th round of core commander talks since June will put a stop to this build-up, and that is if it is implemented sincerely. So, however, new agreement according to 21st September recently would have happened at the 6th round of core commander meeting. Since June, it's going to put a stop to this build-up of this tension and build-up of this deployment of the military troops. It's going to stop if that agreement is implemented sincerely. The joint press release said the sides had agreed to strengthen communication on the ground practically where other things are happening, avoid misjudgments, however, and to refrain from unilaterally changing the situation on the ground, besides holding a next round at an early date, underlining that many issues remain unresolved. So, however, both side press statements have been released recently that so both sides have agreed to strengthen the communication and avoid misjudgments, and refrain unilaterally means so right from their part to refrain on the ground. Announced an earlier date because so many things are still yet unresolved. If this agreement can potentially help reduce the bleeding, as it were, does not address most of India's fundamental concerns on the LAC. So, however, if it is probably help this reduction of this tensions, so it's not going to address so many India's fundamental concerns. Prior to the talks, Indian officials had highlighted the key points of their agenda as having China withdraw from all friction points, including Despang and Pangong Zhou, and granting unhindered access to all the patrolling points. So, main thing what we are trying to make China is to withdraw from all the friction points, means conflict points, and especially including this Despang and Pangong Zhou, and granting unhindered means like not at all stopped, unhindered access to all patrolling points. So, they have to give access to all patrolling points, PPs. China has the status quo ante of April. So, status quo ante means which happened, the state of affairs which were there before, only referring to no unilateral changes to the ground situation, which refers to the current status quo. So, referring to the present situation, they referred to no unilateral changes, however. So, it has blocked access to 10 PPs since May. PPs means patrolling points. So, India is just asking for an unhindered access to all these points. The joint press release makes no mention of restoration of the status quo ante of April. So, however, the both side press makes no mention of restoration of the status quo ante of April, means so before April how the situations were, only referring to no unilateral changes to the ground situation, however no changes, which refers to the current status quo. So, however, the situations right now, it is true that 1 or 2 rounds of talks cannot be expected realistically to solve a resolution that is in many ways even more complex than the 1986 Samdorong-Chu standoff, and that took 6 years before the status quo was restored. So, however, 1 or 2 rounds or 2 rounds of talks cannot be expected. to resolve this issue, to make the situation like before, because so in 1986 the issue which happened, it took nearly 6 years to get to the status quo. At the same time, a second joint public statement in as many weeks is a positive development in itself, showing both have the intent to stabilize the situation even if their motivations may be different. So however, so many weeks, it's a positive development, second joint public statement according to at the same time. So it's showing both the sides have intent to stabilize the situation, though their motivations are completely may be different. For the Indian government, such a statement in the midst means in the middle of a parliament session where it has faced questions over its handling of the LIC situations as the message that the China crisis is under control. So however, in the Indian government, that statement is definitely going in the middle of this parliament session. It's definitely going to face questions over its handling related to this LIC situation, and clearly going to give a message related message that the China crisis is clearly under control. For China, the motivations could be twofold, having two paths: either a tactical path that gives it time to prepare for the further military maneuvers, operations, as was the case in the end of August south of Pangong Lake. So twofold means having two different aspects. One definitely may be like it's taking a time pass to make the military maneuvers to further to enhance this military maneuvers across this Pangong Lake, or a signal that Beijing wants to dial down tensions. So, however, Beijing wants to dial down means reduce tensions, albeit means although on its own terms, most likely without giving up the territorial gains. Without giving territorial gains, it's going to have this on its own terms, it's going to agree these tensions, to dial down these tensions, and most it has made since May. So finally, whatever may be the case, the reality for Delhi is that the challenge along the LIC may be far from over. So it's not at all near to complete. So that's why. So the reality keeping this reality in view. So our government has to act in a very wise manner related to this. Okay guys, let's get to test of the day. I have brought to you a close test how to crack this. A takes noun, consonant, sound, right? But our lives are a dash between mind, purchase between mind, scolding between mind, dishonest adjective, resolving adjective, negotiation, pure noun, starting with consonant sound, and the answer is negotiation between knowledge and self-intimacy, between mind, body and spirit. That's it. Negotiation means dealing in ups and downs ways. Next, you carry ancient intelligence of your ancestors stored in your DNA, and you carry a dash piece of cosmos within you. Dash piece of cosmos. Dash piece means piece is noun and you need adjective. Tedious, abandoning, cital, contentious, swift, all are adjectives. So which kind of piece of thing you are going to carry? Piece of cosmos. Which kind of piece of cosmos you are going to carry? Abandoning, negative; tedious, negative; contentious, troublesome; swift, very quick. Answer is very important piece of cosmos within you. So possible answer is C. Now let's get to 3. It becomes dangerous when metrics and technological identities are dash on you. When will it become dangerous? So when metrics and technological identities are dash on you. What are on you? Embarrassed on, located on, collided. Located takes in proportion. Collided, meaningless. Annoyed on, meaningless. Imposed on you. So if technological things are imposed on you, it's going to be dangerous. So that is the most probable option. Throughout history, humans have had the experience of knowing more than what's dash. What's dash? Yes, throughout history, humans have had the experience of knowing more than what's dash by their 5 senses. 5 senses do what? consoling someone, surrendering to someone, extreme, meaningless, insisted someone, pursued, understood, got to their mind setting. So answer will be what's pursued by their five senses. Right. Last one. We have been losing touch with the dash information that mind, body, spirit is constantly trying to convey. Once again. We have been losing touch with the dash information. What information? Unkind, humble, ruined, civilized, meaningless, and the answer is crucial information, very important, what it is going to conceive to us. That's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching the class, and so whoever didn't subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our channel. More are yet to come. Share with your friends, and the last but not the least, don't forget to like. Thank you. Signing off.